Hi everyone, welcome to GM Aruncha's channel. In this Sicilian Defense Part 2 video, we'll be discussing the Accelerated Dragon, the Sveshnikov and the Kalashnikov. So, the correct move order for black to start these lines goes with knight c6. So, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, and white enters the open Sicilian, cd4, knight d4, and here black has a few options. g6 marks the starting point of the Accelerated Dragon structure. And here, white has basically two ways to continue in this position. One is to go with the regular structure with nc3, bishop e3, which you can compare it with the Yugoslav attack in the dragon. And the other one, c4, which is a new structure, the Moraxi-Vine structure, which we haven't seen in our earlier video. Now, with c4, white starts to get the control of the center. So white's fighting for more center control. And this is also called as the Moraxi bind, which is basically taking control of the d5 and b5 squares, making things more difficult for black to achieve the central pawn break, either on a6 b5 or e6 d5. Now, with c4, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, knight c3, d6. White players have also played f3 or bishop e2 in this position, somewhere here. This is where the line is heading towards. And personally, I believe these kind of positions should be more comfortable for the white players to play, but certainly black's counter chances should not be underestimated. Many strong players have played this position with black side as well, but certainly not very appealing for everybody with less space for black. Certainly white's chances should be preferred. If you have a very clear idea about what has to be played from this position onwards, I think white's play should be a lot more simpler than the black's position. Okay, so the other option that white players can play with knight c3, and here bishop g7, bishop e3. I've seen many amateur players go wrong at this point, either with bishop e2 or f3 in this position. F3 probably is a mistake, which basically allows black to immediately strike in the center with d5. And black pretty much equalizes right now. Probably the strongest in this position is to go with bishop c4, stopping the d5 plan for black. And when black castles, white goes bishop b3, getting out of all this knight e4 followed by d5 kind of threats that black has. I'm sure most of you would be aware of the game Fischer versus Reshevsky, a famous game where Reshevsky went wrong with knight a5, and Fischer takes advantage of it with e5 followed by bishop and f7 followed by knight e6, and the game ends in hardly 15-20 moves. I mean, when two master players play and the game ends in 15-20 moves, we don't see such games very often. But knight a5 obviously not a very precise way to continue this position for black. And black has a lot of options. Many players have tried different ideas, like d6 being the main line, and queen a5 or rook e8, even a5. Many options like this have been tried by black players. But if black wishes to continue with d6, then basically black is preparing for knight g4, which white has to be careful. He has to stop it immediately with f3. And this position can be a direct transposition to the regular dragon Yugoslav attack structure. This is another move order to reach the Yugoslav attack dragon. So you guys can compare to understand where exactly the lines are leading from here. But whatever we discussed with the dragon, some basic points will definitely be applicable in this position as well. But apart from d6, black players have also played queen a5, in which case I think white usually chooses short castle and tries to take advantage of the space that white has. When black commits d6, white commits h3, and typical plans include knight d5 at the right time and opening up of the e file for the white rook to join in with rook e1 and attack the e7 pawn. Ideas like this is what white players continue with. So, if white players wish to play against the accelerated dragon, two plans. c4 with the Morozzi-Bind structure, and the other one is with knight c3. Both these lines exist. Based on the kind of positions that you wish to play, white players can basically decide what they want to do in this position. Now, moving on to the next one, we can start with knight f6, knight c3, and e5 is basically the Sveshnikov variation. Sveshnikov has always been considered a very good opening against 1e4, one of the most aggressive ways probably to deal against 1e4. In 2012, Gelfand successfully used this against Anand in their World Championship match, and also Magnus Carlsen in 2018 he used this against Caruana. So obviously you guys will know in the World Championship match when great players of our time are playing with the help of computers and a team of seconds, everyone's preparing, and if this line has held very well for the black players in the World Championship match in recent years, that shows the strength of the system. And after e5, white players certainly have a few options here. Knight b5, which is the main move, and apart from this, I have seen many amateur players play knight c6 or knight f5 or other options. All these options have been tried, but knight b5 among them is probably the best, definitely, and other options are significantly weaker because mainly it allows this bishop b4, which also like increases pressure on the e4 pawn, and at the same time black might be able to achieve the d5 pawn break at the right time. So other moves are significantly weaker. White generally goes with knight b5, which is the correct way to go, and black starts with d6, and here white has a few options. Now, once again, Caruana in their World Championship match against Carlsen, he regularly tried this knight d5 move, and after ed5 we see this pawn structure once again fixed in this d5 square, and either black can retreat with knight b8 or knight e7. Both the moves have been tried extensively. Here typical plans include white trying to expand on the queen side and black trying to expand on the king side. White generally goes c4, b4 and tries for the c5 pawn break, and black generally tries to create counterplay on the other side on the king side. Now apart from knight d5, the main lines have been for many years bishop g5 has been considered as the main line. With a6, knight a3, b5, once again white has a couple of options. Here knight d5 and bishop f6 have been played extensively. Probably bishop f6 is more aggressive and knight d5 is slightly more positional and easier to play. So based on your requirement, you guys can choose what you want to play as white in this position. Now moving on to the next line. Black starts with e5 in this position, which is also called as the Kalashnikov. Now knight b5. The Kalashnikov and Sveshnikov are very close to one another, just that black doesn't come at knight f6. Obviously white is threatening knight d6, so black immediately stops that with d6. And in this position also, white players have a couple of options. White can either start with the natural developing move, knight 1 c3, knight to c3 in this position, as well as c4, once again adopting the Morozzi-Bind structure. Now let's start with knight c3. She met with a6, b5, knight d5. Now the main line of the Kalashnikov goes with knight e7, which is what most of the Kalashnikov players play. And knight f6 can be a direct transposition to the Sveshnikov. I mean, if white starts with knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, this can be a direct transposition. Else, knight e7 in this position, something like c4, knight d5, followed by knight d4 and bishop e3 or bishop d3. So this is where the line's usually is heading towards. So if you wish to prepare against the Kalashnikov, I think this is where you should be checking. And the other option that white players have against the Kalashnikov is to go with c4. Now black continues with bishop e7. Now knight c3 followed by natural developing moves, and I think some typical moves like this exist. Now we are into the middle game. The opening phase is over, but I'm not sure this kind of positions are appealing for all the black players, because black has a big hole on d5. This d5 square is a square weakness on d5. Black is unable to control it with the pawn, and he is controlling it with the pieces alone. But still, not entirely a bad position. Many players have played this position, but my personal view is that these kind of positions are not for everyone. But certainly, like, if you wish to play this, you can certainly play this as black. But uh, given a chance, I would better be on the white side. So I think this is where the lines are heading towards with accelerated dragon, with g6 and knight f6, knight c3, e5 heads into the Sveshnikov, and if black starts with e5, goes into the Kalashnikov. So this gives us some clarity once again in the Sicilian defense. If white players are trying to prepare against the Sicilian, so these are the lines that they have to consider. Now, before we wind up, I also wish to point out some transpositions that can happen. Like, for example, knight f6, knight c3. Here, instead of e5, black players can also start with d6, which is more or less like it's a direct transposition to the classical Sicilian. In the first video, in the previous video, we checked d6 followed by knight c6 as the move order for the classical Sicilian. But this can also occur with the other move order with knight c6. So in chess, though in openings there are like a lot of transpositions where one opening is transposing into the other variation. Players who are playing variations openings, they should also be aware of the transposition, which can basically head into completely unknown structures. So when you're studying the openings, also watch out for the transpositions. So I think we are clear with these lines. In the part 3 video, we'll discuss the other lines with Taimanov and other structures. And if you guys think you have learned something, so please subscribe and share the videos. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.